So we didn't know that it was going to be virtual, when we all interviewed for it and decided we were going to do it. We didn't know that it was going to be virtual probably until about a month before. So I would be lying to you if I told you that I wasn't really sad about that, and I may have cried a little bit just because I was so looking forward to that in-person experience.
I was nervous because I wasn't sure how virtual would be. I didn't think I thought it would be different than in person. I thought we would miss out on something.
But I was nervous when it was going to be in person because I get myself, I feel like I'm not a great speaker, but I get myself really worked up about stuff, and then whenever I go to speak to somebody professionally, with the congressmen and women, I would have just it would have been a daze I was in, and I really wouldn't have paid that much attention. But
the first day is kind of like an orientation. It was a Wednesday afternoon, and we met with a couple representatives, and I remember I shut my computer and I was like, wow, that was really cool. And then Thursday came, and we actually got to advocate and speak with some of the representatives from I got Terry Sewell and Barry Moore's office. And after that, I remember just saying to myself, that was the coolest thing ever. I even told Miss Phelps, I was like, I don't know how y'all did this, how you threw this together and made this so awesome virtually, but this is the best thing because I've done, obviously everything's been virtual in the last year. And I've, sat through conferences and things. I just want to pull my hair out because I'm like, what are we talking about? You kind of trail off, but I never once did that. So I think that my expectations were very well met with this. And I was honestly surprised that the virtual experience was as good as it was.
Hearing from Terry Sewell was what I was most excited about. She is the only Democrat representative for the state of Alabama, and she's a woman. And not only that, but she's a Black woman. And so I just look up to her and all the things that she has gone through to get to that point, and all the things that she's had to get by, and she's just an incredible woman. And I was just so excited to hear, even if I didn't get to actually advocate to her, I was excited to hear her speak because I knew we would eventually get to hear her speak some. So that was an invaluable experience for sure, to hear her to speak about any of her experiences. So.
I don't want to get choked up here, but I don't think I really took it seriously until the aftermath of January 6th. I was in the gallery when those folks broke down the door and came into the Capitol, and they were screaming for Mike Pence. And I'm on the House floor, and I'm really quite close to where he was and where Pelosi was. And then I went to the gallery, unfortunately, and got stuck in the gallery for 45 minutes after I was one of the 30 people that did that. And for the first time in my life, I was scared of a place where I had worked 9 years, right? Scared in my own workplace.
I feel like we gained a lot, we learned a lot, and just building up and just preparing. So they just reviewing the fact sheets that they gave us and the bills that they gave us. It was exciting because I felt like I had a purpose, and I was really looking forward to it. So I was excited about it.
So that's just one way of saying, do the advocacy work. Sometimes it feels like you're not making any traction, but you never know when you strike a chord, and that piece of it that you're doing can really resonate with folks
as well. But right now, this is a critical time. There's many things going on in our country. Every state is represented right now. Also visiting your constituents, not only here in Washington, D.C., but in their legislative offices at home is really, really important.
In New Jersey, but there are 2 counties that are the poorest counties in the state that are rural, that are struggling. And we have a 3rd county that actually covers the cost of the other 2. Is the way you make hospital finances work. And it was an organization that has been financially driven, not mission driven. And I fell in love. I fell in love with the potential of moving those 2 counties from last in the state in health outcomes and access to care. I fell in love with the opportunity to really tap into the frontline staff who deeply are awaiting a cultural change that focuses on the patient, not just the finances. There are ways to do both.
But there are big decisions too that sometimes you may feel conflicted in. Certainly working for a pharmaceutical company, I'm there, I fight for access for patients, and I have to strike a balance with the company sometimes between issues around pricing and access, and bring that voice of impacted communities to them. But I'm very, very glad to be there and to bring in experts, and maybe even sometimes to bring in a full-time professional ethicist to help sort through the tough issues. And
I got my bill co-sponsored. That would be my reason. Not me specifically. The congressman or congresswoman, it was Congresswoman or Representative Bass from California, and she had already heard about the bill that I was advocating for. And so once I gave my spiel to her staffer, her name was Heather also, so that was kind of cool. She said, well, Congressman or Representative Bass has already agreed to co-sponsor this bill. So it wasn't me, but it also just felt like a win for the bill, because it was Hope for Humans Trafficking, or Hope for Victims of Human Trafficking. And so just knowing that although it wasn't me, there was still hope for that bill to push forward through the next Congress was really exciting. And knowing that because I also talked to Senator Shelby's representatives, or not representatives, but his staffers, and they were taking notes, and they were very, very, they asked questions, they were interested in what I was saying, and it makes you feel like you're making a difference. Even if you don't see it all the way through and it doesn't get passed completely, you still know that you're giving this information that wasn't there before, and there's a chance for you to make a change.
Come with an open mind about the experience, and don't come with any preconceived notions about, what it's going to be or what people are going to say and all that, but come with an open mind, because you're going to hear so many things from so many people, and that's going to mold you as a social worker. And when I say that, I mean that, I know that I want to do policy. I know that that's something that I'm interested in, but I was on the fence about whether or not I wanted to jump directly into policy after graduation. I was like, I don't know, direct policy, I'm not sure. This sealed the deal for me. So if anybody is questioning whether or not policy is something they want to do, I would recommend doing this. I mean, this fly-in it's going to tell you, because you're going to get that adrenaline rush. If it's something that you really want to do, you're going to get that adrenaline rush when you're talking to that person and you're advocating for your bill. And that's probably the coolest thing I've ever done. I've told everybody that, like, this was by far the coolest thing that I've ever done, and I've jumped out of a plane before. So
it's a once in a lifetime chance, and my chance was virtual, and it was still like life-changing. Like, you felt like super empowered, you felt like you had a purpose, and you were able to actually like communicate with people in office or representatives of their office. So it was just like super meaningful. And if you were able to even do it in person in the future, I feel like that would be even more rewarding.